Hey, are you looking for your next great read? Because if you are, we can help. And even if you aren't, we can still help you.
Yes, it's time for Great Day Books. Lori Fazio from RJ Julia is here with a few ideas to add to that TBR, to be read. Pile on your nightstand or on the go. Lori, thanks so much for being here this afternoon.
Sure. We were so excited to talk to you because we love reading, we love books, and you always have such amazing suggestions.
Thank you. Read Across America Week.
Yes, it is. I just read to a kindergarten class yesterday morning, and it was so. And one of their first question was, "How do you pick what you want to read?" I thought that was such a great question from a 5-year-old. Yeah, it was. They were adorable.
And how did you answer it?
Well, so we have a lot of reps that come from the publishers, and they'll tell us about books that are coming out. So that TBR pile, I can't even describe what my room looks like. It's terrible.
That's how my nightstand is. I have like two or three piles of books, and I pull from one or two.
Yeah. My husband and I alternate. We have one of those platform beds where we have a bookshelf built in around it. So it's like books everywhere.
You're surrounded. In the middle of the night, you just reach down and pick one up.
Exactly. All right. Is there a certain theme with the books this week?
These are all TBRs, right?
Well, so actually, I've read one of these, and I'm reading 3 of them. And then I thought the friendship one was just interesting, so I just figured I would bring this. So we could start there.
Okay.
So it's really a book about friendship, and so there's always books about, you know, romance and self-help and all of that. And I thought this was really unique because it's literally about friendship and how friendships change over time, and how you can have a friend when you're a kid, but then as you grow, maybe you distance, and then you get back together. As you're, you know, you have families and you meet, you know, people through your kids, things like that. So I always find that, you know, my friendships, you know, they get smaller because your circle gets a little tighter.
Yeah.
And
the older you get,
yeah, and that's okay with me.
Yeah, and I mean, and then you go to on Facebook and you're like, how do I have over 800 friends right now? You know, but I think
and you don't even know them.
Right, exactly.
You don't really know them, right?
That is a really interesting topic, though, to explore. You know? And I think a lot of moms too, in particular, feel sometimes isolated.
Definitely.
And so I think that power of friendship in Women's Month.
And she gives a lot of examples from her own life, which is really neat.
This seems a la Help, like self-help.
It is a little a la Help,
but it's got some advice. It looks like it's got some advice and like how to really maintain and build friendships, right?
Right, and how to be okay with, like, you know, if you don't see them. Like, my best friend lives in Massachusetts, and
I know I have best friends all across the country.
She's been since I was 12. Like, we're just tight as could be, no matter what.
Isn't that awesome?
They say you can only count like your true best friends on one hand, right?
Exactly. I agree with that.
There you go. All right, moving on.
Okay, so Memorial Day. So Geraldine Brooks is a best-selling author. She's incredible. This is a memoir. So she writes a lot of fiction. This is a memoir about her husband, Tony Horowitz, who she got a call and he had died.
Oh my gosh.
And so this is so personal. Her writing is brilliant. This one I did read. And she is, you know, she talks about like the immediate days following and how some of it was in the public spotlight because of who they were.
Right.
And then 3 years later, she gives herself time to privately mourn. And she shares that with the reader.
Wow.
It was an incredible book, absolutely incredible.
And I'm sure, unfortunately, very relatable for so many people who have lost someone.
Yeah, and suddenly, like, you get that call and you're like, it just shocks your whole world and it stops everything.
So in a way, you know, it kind of feels like that could be a little bit of self-help too for someone who may have lost a loved one suddenly.
I think so. In fact, we just recommended this to someone who had lost a spouse recently. And you know, because of just understanding that someone else is going through it. Sometimes that's all the help you need.
You're not alone.
Yeah. Right? So these 3 books I am in the middle of. Right. Okay. So we'll talk about each one. So Deep Cuts, right here. Deep Cuts takes place in the early 2000s.
Okay.
It's
I'm hooked already.
Music, friendship, love, you know, but really based around music. Ooh. And so, which is kind of cool because a lot of music books are like the 80s or the 90s. So this is really interesting that this relationship that starts is this girl is giving her feedback to someone's demo and how he's like, oh man, and it changes this whole trajectory. I don't know exactly what happens yet because I'm halfway through. Actually, I'm a quarter of the way through this one. So, but it's really interesting.
It sounds like Almost Famous, but more modern.
Yeah, I think it's definitely moving in that direction.
Yeah, very cool. All right, we got the other 2.
So, Alifair Books, The Note. So this is a mystery. This one is so fast-paced and so fun. These 3 high school friends go out to the Hamptons for a weekend.
Fun.
They play a little prank. on somebody
Not cool.
that they didn't think it was going to be, but then all of a sudden the guy goes missing.
Oh no.
And so I am halfway through this one.
I would be into that.
Oh,
in the Hamptons for a setting like that.
It's so good.
Always good
And I'm like, and now I'm like, what happened to this guy? Like, did one of them do something? Because now they're starting to like doubt each other. And yeah, that's really fun. And Alistair Burke is also great at just pulling you right in. And then lastly, Isola. This is about, this takes place in like the 1700s. This is a little bit of a slower read, so it's definitely, you want to kind of, dig into it. I'm taking my time with it. This is about this young girl who's an heir to a fortune. Her parents, they die, and so her guardian has other plans for her money and for her.
I'm sure.
So she thinks that he's going to take good care of her, and then he takes her on this they go on a ship, and he leaves her on an island. And so I'm just at the part where she's being left on the island.
In the 1700s, by the way.
Yeah.
All of these sound so fantastic.
They're really good.
And really quick, we have like 20 seconds left, but I'm sure you get this question a lot. How do you read different books all at once? Is it hard?
Not everybody can do that.
Yeah.
So, and that's fine. But I like to do it, and then like right now, this is the one I'm focusing on, because I'm like, I have to know the ending.
So sometimes there's one that takes the lead. Okay.
And I can't read books that are too similar about what they're about, because then you get your characters confused. So these are all very different, that it's easy to keep them straight.
Lori,
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Good to see you.
Add these to the list.
The TBR list.
Yes, the TBR list. All right, still to come here this afternoon, a little boy's birthday wish becoming a reality, how Blue Line Care Packages is hoping you can step up to help take care of our law enforcement officers.